Hello and welcome to another episode of India and Global Left. If you are new to the show, please hit that subscribe button. Also consider becoming a YouTube member, a Patreon, or donate small amount given in the link in the description box. Without further ado, let me welcome our guest tonight, Professor Foad Izadi. Professor Izadi is from Iran and he teaches at University of Tehran. Professor Izadi, welcome back to India and Global Left.
Thank you.
I wanted to start out with a broad question about the cessation of hostility between US and Iran. Obviously, the latest news being that on Friday there would be an agreement in Geneva. But if you could start by giving our viewers a sense of how historic is this moment, what is the mood in Tehran, and how does it compare to the Iran-Iraq war?
The mood is generally positive. As you know, Iran was trying to avoid this war. It was an unnecessary war, an illegal war. If you remember the Omani foreign minister's interview with CBS News before the war, he mentioned that a diplomatic solution was available within 24 hours. And the US and Israelis started attacking Iran just after that, thinking that they can overthrow the Iranian government and take over Iranian oil and create an Israeli hegemony in this part of the world. And they have failed on all three accounts. The Trump administration realized that this is costing them too much, and the hope is that this is serious. Some people here think that the US is just taking a break and are preparing for the next round of attacks, but generally people hope that United States and Israel have learned a lesson, and there are some successes. For example, as part of the agreement, Iran is trying to make sure that Lebanon, there is peace in Lebanon as well. Iran couldn't do this before. This is something new for Iran, to force Israelis not to go on a rampage in Lebanon and try to do another genocide there. The Strait of Hormuz is going to be in Iran's hand, and whenever the other side engages in activities that is contrary to the agreement, then that leverage is going to be used by Iran. Iran didn't have that situation before. The hope is that all these illegal American sanctions on Iran is lifted, and people of Iran have been under a lot of pressure. 47 years of economic warfare, 1 year of military attacks, and they have resisted. There is this culture of resistance against imperialism, against Zionism, and if you're optimistic, you should be happy. If you're pessimistic, you should also be happy. At least for some time there's going to be some level of peace.
And what does this do to the morale and confidence of the Iranian people, given this was a direct confrontation with the United States, the superpower? And of course, we know about the 1980s when just after the revolution, the inchoate state of Iran and its people had pushed back Iraq. But how big is this moment to take on the superpower and push it back, given most sane analysts are now saying that Iran would now be in the driver's seat of the process that would emerge after Friday framework?
I agree. Iran is going to be in the driver's seat because of Iran's military capacity. I think the other side realized that Iran can create a lot of damage for American Israeli interests in this part of the world. The cost is going to be too much for them if they want to try this again. And people here realize that resistance pays. Trump wanted total surrender, I'm just quoting him, tweeting about total, complete surrender. Iranians didn't accept that, and they won. At the end of the day, they experienced a lot of damage, but this is how you're supposed to act against two genocidal nuclear regimes. You're supposed to resist, although they're more powerful than you are. You're supposed to resist, and if you resist enough, they will get tired. American soldiers will get tired. From the beginning, I think most American soldiers knew that they're not fighting for the United States. They were fighting for Israel and the Epstein class. They realized that. Many of them did. Iranian soldiers were fighting for their country and the civilized world. They also understood that. So when you have a situation as I described it, then the civilized world, I'm glad to tell you, has prevailed, and the other side is at least in a retreat. We don't know with Netanyahu. He may be interested in starting another war tonight, but so far so good.
Let me come to some of the sticking points in the framework itself. You mentioned about Iran controlling the Strait of Hormuz. Donald Trump tweeted saying that the Strait of Hormuz would reopen and the ships of the world get ready for a free Strait of Hormuz. If you could tell us a bit about what do you expect about the Strait of Hormuz, given Iran has been insisting that it would be collecting a toll for the war damage that has been done.
This is a memorandum of understanding. The negotiations will start soon. We're going to have the 60-day negotiations. And one thing that Iran will insist is that the Strait of Hormuz is in Iran's territorial water and contiguous zone under international law. We have this UN law of seas. They have 12 miles of territorial waters, countries have, and 12 miles of contiguous zone. That's 12 plus 12 is 24. The Strait of Hormuz is 21 miles. So the Strait of Hormuz is not international waters. It's not high seas. The Strait of Hormuz is in Iran's territorial waters, contiguous zone, and the same thing is true with Oman. These are the two coastal states, and the Strait of Hormuz has only two. U.S. is not a coastal state to the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. is a coastal state to Gulf of Mexico. They're 11,000 kilometers away. They're in no position to dictate to countries in this region how they are supposed to do. So as part of this agreement, Iran and Oman will make arrangements, and that's it. And Iranian officials have said that they will have, they don't call it tolls, they call it pilotage fees for different services that Iran gives, and one service is providing security. We have in this part of the world pirates. This is not, I'm not using bad words, this is how Trump described US Navy, taking over oil tankers, creating blockades, shooting at ships. So providing security here is going to be costly. This is a rich area. We have people who are descendants of pirates, at least, are interested in taking over this area. And for those services, Iran will charge what will eventually be called something like pilotage fees. Fees of this nature, and Americans can either accept that or don't accept it. Iran will not let the Strait of Hormuz to go back to the situation that you had before. We have regime change, not in Tehran, in the Strait of Hormuz, and that's how it's going to be. If Americans don't like it, they can start another war and be defeated again.
This also involves the regional countries, particularly in the Gulf, Persian Gulf, given their energy has to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, and given they have security pacts with the United States. One of the things Iran has insisted is the end of the U.S. military bases. Of course, most people would not expect that to happen overnight, but many analysts are saying that this might be the beginning of the end of U.S. military empire in the region. So, if you could tell us your sense of what will happen about the security frameworks in the region and Iran's relationship with the Gulf countries going forward.
Iran wants to have good relations with all its neighbors. Uh, Iran has good relations with its western neighbors, eastern neighbors, northern neighbors. We have had difficulties with southern neighbors. Not all of them. Oman has been quite accommodating. But Iran wants to have good relations with southern neighbors as well. And these are petrodollar states. They're generally rich. And Iran wants them to get richer because if you live in a neighborhood with rich people, that would benefit all people in that neighborhood. So Iran has no animosity towards these countries. Unfortunately, in the past, they decided to provide bases to the United States. Bad policy, because those bases did not protect these countries. These countries actually protected these bases and American soldiers. So I think this is something that they understand. They have been relying on U.S. for many years. Moving towards a multipolar world may be difficult for them, but sooner or later they will decide to do that, and Iran will be helpful to them if they decide to do that. So we'll go back if this ceasefire holds, if this peace was lasting, is going to be lasting. Iran is going to try to normalize relations with these countries. As part of this agreement, there is this $300 billion fund that is supposed to help reconstruct all the damages in Iran. These countries have said, at least while Iran was negotiating, that at least some of these funds will come from these countries. That's why Iran doesn't mind these countries get richer, because they can contribute more. So overall, if we have Netanyahu and Trump behaving properly, you can have peace. That's one option. The other option is going back to war. I think Iran is ready for both cases.
On the nuclear question, people are expecting the unfreezing of Iranian assets, the end of sanctions, and in exchange of a commitment towards non-proliferation of, let's say, no nuclear weapons from Iran. How would this framework be different from the 2015 framework?
It's not going to be very different. Trump had an interview with New York Times yesterday acknowledging that Iran will keep low enriched uranium. Iran will do low level enrichment. In order to do low level enrichment, you need to have these nuclear facilities. So Iran will build these nuclear facilities. And this is what you had in 2015. Iran was enriching at 3.65%. That's why this war was totally unnecessary. So Trump is going back to something that we had before, and he has killed a lot of people in process. He has spent billions of dollars achieving a pipe dream, and with that, the Strait of Hormuz leverage, I think he has given Iran an opportunity to defend itself in a greater capacity to what Iran could do before.
Some people are saying that the enriched stockpile of uranium above the level or threshold of the non-proliferation treaty, Iran should keep it. Iran will keep it, given it cannot trust the United States. Others are saying that Iran might be in a goodwill if the U.S. sticks to its commitment, might dilute its more enriched uranium stock. I know you are not in the government, but do you have any opinion or thoughts about this?
It depends on the United States. If they stay with this agreement, lift sanctions, terminate sanctions, and behave like a normal country instead of an aggressive uh, empire in decline, if they become a serious country instead of going on a rampage killing other people, then Iran may dilute. I don't know. But that will happen if the US stays with this agreement. One reason Iran enriched at a higher level was this was done after pressures from the United States. So if they take off pressures, then Iran may go back to the same level of um, material that Iran had before. So it depends on the US whether they want to stay with this agreement or they want to just take a break and start another war.
I want to come to the mood in Israel and hear your thoughts a little bit. If you're following, there seems to be a hysterical response within Israel about what has happened between Iran and the United States. Um, Bezalel Smotrich, the finance minister, says this is bad for Israel. Naftali Bennett, the former prime minister and a strong contender in the upcoming election, is saying this is dangerous turn for Israel's security. Yair Golan, head of the Democrats Party, said that Israel's military achievements have been erased with the stroke of pen. There are similar hysterical opinions from Itamar bin Gavir and others. What is your sense of what is or the significance of this on Israel?
I agree. Netanyahu became over aggressive. He shouldn't have started this war. He thought he can change Iran's government and create an Israeli hegemony in line with Greater Israel idea. And he has gotten Israel in a big mess. As I said, before this war, Iran could not create peace in Lebanon. Uh, if this agreement goes through properly, then you will have peace in Lebanon. Um, Netanyahu is running on a Likud ticket, and he has caused a lot of hardship to the Israelis. Um, he should not be elected again. And these people who have come from different countries taking over other people's land should go back to their original countries and give Palestine to Palestinians, because Palestine will be free from the river to the sea.
And the Iranian Supreme Leader's office recently said that its relationship with Hezbollah would uh, be greater than what it used to be in the pre-war period. Israel Katz, the defense minister, said that they are not going to vacate any occupied lands from Gaza, Syria, and Lebanon. Do you expect a very tumultuous relationship between Iran and Israel going forward, or do you think the U.S. would be able to discipline Israel going forward?
Uh, you know, it, it may not be easy for Netanyahu, for Trump to put a leash on Netanyahu, uh, but U.S. has a lot of leverage on Israel. It's the Israeli army uses all these weapons from the United States. They support Israel economically, politically, They veto resolutions for Israel. So in reality, U.S. can stop Israel from engaging in these type of activities. They have that choice. So either Trump will use that choice, or he will not. And if Israel attacks Iran again or attacks Lebanon, then you'll go back to war, because that's not going to be acceptable. So it's a decision that they have. They should have learned a lot of lessons for what they did in the last year. And if they take that lessons, they realize that achieving those goals are not going to be possible. But it's their choice. I think Iran is ready for either case.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about what Gideon Levy, the Israeli scholar on Haaretz, journalist on Haaretz, commented about U.S.-Israel relationship. He said that there would now be more and more people within the Trump administration who would see Israel as an obstacle. And from here on, Trump administration would treat Israel as an obstacle. I wonder what's your response on this?
People who are holding high offices, Marco Rubio, Hexet, we don't know who the new DNI is going to be. But these people have very extensive links with Israel. These are pro-Israel people, very close to Trump. And so that comment may be a little bit optimistic. But I think U.S.-Israel relations is damaged in a very serious manner. And the next administration in the United States is going to turn a page and sort of realize that supporting Israel is not in the interest of the United States. It's all liability and damage to U.S. Credibility. It's damage for U.S. taxpayers, because they pay for all this aid that the U.S. is sending to Israel. But this current administration is very pro-Israel. That's why they provided American soldiers for Netanyahu's war on Iran. And whether these people are going to be able to become America first instead of Israel first, that's a doubtful thing.
And I wanted to hear your thoughts about the impact of all this on Palestine, given Professor Mohammad Marandi on our programs said that for Iran, the genocide in Palestine and in Lebanon, to bring an end to the genocide in both the areas is very central to Iran's commitment. I was also listening to Professor Hassan Ahmadian, your colleague, at the Drop Site News, and if I got him right, he said that it seems to him that right now Iran's leverage on the issue on Gaza seems to be relatively limited, while there seems to be a greater opening to an end of the genocide in Lebanon. That's why Iran is insisting much more strongly on Lebanon. I'm curious about your thoughts on the two issues.
I think Iran is in a stronger position today. I think this axis of resistance is in a stronger position today. I think the U.S. was in decline. Trump has accelerated the American decline. And Israel, with politicians like Netanyahu, is destroying itself. You look at public opinion polls in the United States, most people now oppose Israel. And the U.S. government cannot continue to provide that level of support with that type of opposition. I think the Israeli image in the United States has been damaged permanently. And as I said, without American money and military support, Israel is not a serious country. So overall, I think this is the beginning of the end of Israel. Not that Iran will send troops and take over. Iran will watch Israel disintegrate because Israeli leaders are genocidal people under war crimes indictment in international courts, and you cannot continue that regime with this type of people leading it.
This is the beginning of end of the Israeli regime, and Iran will oversee it. That was your statement, and we'll leave it there. Professor Izadi, thank you so much for joining us, and
Thank you.
it was great talking to you.
Hi, my name is Ayushman. I, along with Jyotisman, have started this platform. In the last 2 years, we have tried to build content for the left and progressive forces. We have interviewed economists, historians, political commentators, and activists so far. If you have liked our content so far and want us to build an archive for the left, I have two requests for you. Please do consider donating for the cause. Link is in the description below. Also, if you are not able to do so, don't feel sad. You can always like our videos and share our videos to your comrades. Finally, don't forget to hit the subscribe button.